Exploring the unknown, from conspiracies to mysteries, you are entering the conspiracy sector.
Welcome everyone to this very special program. I am your host, Aubrey Batchelor. Sailing this amazing ship of knowledge with me is Chris Jacobs, and you are entering the conspiracy sector. Like always, we hope you've been well since the last episode, and we have an amazing episode in line for you yet again. This is a topic that seems to never fade off in it fades off in the distance, but never vanishes. I feel like people keep talking about it, even though it's not as popular as it has been to talk about in the past. I feel like it's going to be one that'll never be completely forgotten, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially if some of the conspiracies and mysteries around this topic become true within the next, 5 to 10 years with how chaotic the world really is now. So we're going to be talking about the Denver airport today and some of the strange things that surround it, from mysterious creatures to possible bunkers to weird, kind of artwork that does it predict peace? Does it predict, pain and suffering? It's a confusing artwork, mixed with the fact that the way that the airport was built, we'll get into it. It's just weird to sum up in a couple of sentences because it's so vast. It's
It's
a
such a
huge,
vast topic. Yeah,
a
yeah.
vast topic, and the property itself is so huge, that some of these things will come to alignment from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode. If you don't know much about it, by then, kind of connect all these dots, fill in the gaps, and you're kind of left with like an unsolved mystery episode in a way. Is it just an airport, or is it something much more than just an airport? It's
I've
kind
been there. I didn't get to see the murals, but I was actually there for a brief period. It was one of the layovers, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was there
same.
once.
I've only flew through there once or twice, but I know it's only been like a quick layover, like no time to do anything. I had to go from one gate to the next gate and didn't have any time to browse around at all. So, that I was wanting to try to see it traveling through there, but I never did. But supposedly I couldn't find for sure or not. I've heard in redoing some of my research for this topic. Some people think that they got rid of the artwork, and some people still say it's still there. So I don't know what to believe.
Oh yeah, I've heard both. Like I'll talk to people that say, "Oh yeah, I've heard they removed it," and they go there and it's still there. So you don't know which one to actually believe. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, I don't know what to think about that then, but let me get right up on into it here if I can get my mouse to work proper. Let me go to
So if anybody actually has gone to the Denver airport, check for us and put in the comments below if you're going through there at some point. Check for us to see if the murals are actually still present.
yes, please. I like I said, from doing some research, I couldn't figure out whether because there are certain people that said that they were covered up, and there's certain people I was reading that said, well, no, they're still there. No, that they were taken down, and no, they're still there. And then apparently the airport itself played on its conspiracies because people target them
Mm-hmm.
about, hey, what's all this strange stuff, explain it to us, explain it to us. They even threw like a costume party that was conspiracy themed, the airport itself, and
Hmm.
ended up having like talking animatronic gargoyles and
Oh yeah, they did that just to make fun of their own like evil artwork, pretty much.
yeah.
When it depicts two possible timelines, which is like the peaceful one and the totalitarianistic one. Uh, just like you have the Nazi like figure oppressing people. See, it was basically depicting what the the governments wanted to do, the New World Order wanted to do. It was unite everybody under one flag, but under their rule, essentially. And then you have the other timeline, which is all peaceful. And but also people have interpreted that as, oh, it'll be peaceful if you have a one world order. That's what they're trying to do. That's the kind of propaganda they're trying to deliver. It's interpreted a couple different ways.
I'm going to go ahead and get into an article here and kind of give a few of these bullet points as an overview here. And this comes from one of my favorite websites to just browse. This is from mentalfloss.com. You can find a lot of cool things on this website. And it's an article by Kate Erbland, 6 strange conspiracy theories surrounding the Denver airport. On February 28, 1995, the Denver International Airport, DIA, opened its doors and its runways to the public after falling over a year behind schedule and spending a reported $2 billion more than its original budget had dictated. That's $2 billion with a B, not $2 million with an M. $2 billion more over budget than anticipated. That's a lot of money. And there's some of like the I guess the Genesis conspiracy theory behind DIA is why so much money. And is there some sort of extreme advanced, underground layers and bunkers, or the feels people, that's the first thing people question about DIA. That's kind of the Genesis conspiratorial question. Why so much over budget, and then why so much money?
Yeah, the underground tunnels, because they needed the funding to be able to connect the underground base tunnels to, like, also even further down, the tunnels also stretch all the way to Dulce and around as well, believe it or not, and also Colorado as well. Well, other Colorado ones as well. So like there's branch bases. Even there's one up in Alaska, a group of them, that a rail system goes underground all the way to Arizona. So yeah, they needed the funding to be able to connect all of this.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's a central location for them as far as I'm concerned. Massive new airport didn't just take up lots of time and money. It also took up a lot of space. More than 2 decades later, it's still the largest airport in the United States by area, and that's what we were talking about earlier. It's 53 square miles, with the longest commercial use runway available in the country. Runway is 16R/34L is 16,000 feet long, approximately 3 miles. Holy Toledo. DIA replaced Denver's old Stapleton International Airport, which was plagued by problems. Runways too close together, general lack of space for necessary expansion, and its creation helped meet some basic needs that Stapleton simply couldn't. The Denver area needed more room to serve the various airlines that had made and wanted to make the Mile High City a hub of operations. Like DIA did just that. So, and it came with a bunch of baggage. That all sounds normal enough, right? A city needed a new airport and it got one, even though it took a lot more money and time than originally planned, as so often happens with large-scale public works. Although there is some debate as to actually who funded the airport, but we'll get to that. But people wondering if DIA, giant, expensive, strange DIA, is home to something far, far more sinister, like a conspiracy, or a lot of conspiracies. So, number 1, DIA's runways form a hate symbol. And this is the other kind of intriguing one, that people said.
You're not sharing screen if you want to see it. Did you want to?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Let me share screen here. Right here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, there we are.
So, number 1, DIA runways form a hate symbol. Although one of the underlying themes of the various conspiracy theories regarding DIA holds that Stapleton was a fine airport and didn't need to be replaced, there is one inarguable point. The runways at Stapleton were not smartly laid out. The parallel runways were too close together for safe landings in bad weather, which happened around 150 days a year and cut the number of arrivals an hour from 80 to 36. DIA doesn't have the same problem, but it does have something far more nefarious. A shape that many people have noticed that looks curiously like a swastika, at least from the air. Taken on its own, such a shape could be brushed off as being just a really terrible piece of planning. But combined with everything else, it all looks very odd indeed. And see, this is that classic, they can get away with an excuse saying that, it's designed that way just for crosswinds or, we designed
Hmm.
it that way, there's a scapegoat answer when there could be something underlined. Maybe that is the genuine purpose, it's just one of those things. Like I said, is it not? Is it not? But the
Truth in
strange
advertising. Yeah, truth in advertising. Yeah.
Strange thing I think about that I think we need to mention is, the chain link fence that goes around the property, the barbed wire fence is pointing in. Usually that's pointing out to keep people out, but apparently it points in from some of the reports that I've seen. So, why?
Yeah, that's the mystery of it, where they have the barbed wire in, where they want to keep people inside. Like in an emergency, like say if you needed to turn something into a makeshift prison, that's how you would do it. You'd trap people on the inside. If there was like a New World Order martial law takeover, that's how you'd do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Number two, Denver International Airport is involved with biological warfare. Leo Tanguma's two murals, which take up wide swaths of wall space in DIA's baggage claim, may have some nice names. They are called Children of the World Dream of Peace and In Peace and Harmony with Nature, but their actual content is terrifying. Death masked soldiers with guns stalk children. Animals are dead and kept under glass, and the entire world looks to have been destroyed, as if being at the airport isn't bad enough. Some believe the murals at Denver's airport feature doomsday scenes. It doesn't help that an inlay on the floor features the letters AU and AG. Though this nod to gold and silver is appropriate, Colorado does have a rich mining history. After all, some believe the letters represent a dangerous strain of hepatitis that could serve as a biological weapon. These two symbols, coupled with the unnerving mural, have fueled a conspiracy theory that the airport could be a hub for biological warfare. To his credit, the narrative of Batanguma's murals ends on a happy note. With all that peace and harmony stuff, the artist himself has said, I have children sleeping in the debris of war, and this warmonger is killing the dove of peace. But the kids are dreaming of something better in the future, and their little dream goes behind the general and continues to be behind this group of people. And the kids are dreaming that peace will happen someday. See how the little dream becomes something really beautiful, that someday the nations of the world will abandon war and come together. Still, the last place anyone wants to see depictions of death and destruction is at an airport. So yeah, that's a strange one, is the artwork.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting because, like what you were saying about the whole in accordance with nature thing, being in balance with nature, that people remember the Georgia Guidestones, where they said
yeah,
calling
and
people.
I never made it down there to be able to see him.
Yeah, and I saw them quite a while ago when they were still there. It was basically calling people down to 500,000 in accordance with nature. That was the Guidestone timeline. This syncs up with the Guidestone timeline because of the fact that the mural depicts, okay, we're killing off people. This is everybody's happy afterwards. It's like the whole Thanos mentality. That's the Cabal mentality. Thanos from Marvel, where he kills off half the universe to balance everything. In accordance with natural law kind of deal. He becomes kind of that arbiter or ombudsman type of concept where he goes, oh, I'm inevitable kind of thing. This is the Cabal attitude. That's why they changed it from the original comic canon. Somebody wanted to make the point in Marvel, this very same point. I'm thinking the barbed wire inside is, like I said, like if they needed to trap people on the inside for a martial law, the horse that was on the outside. That is actually interesting.
Yeah, and that's what
Uh,
we'll get to too, I believe.
yeah.
That's got to have a whole separate piece of artwork in itself that has a
Mm.
different. It's kind of like I consider it sort of kind of like a possible, like the Curse of Tutankhamun, a little bit,
Hmm.
not really, but kind of a created artwork in that,
And I think if it was
that
associated with
relation.
the four horsemen of the apocalypse or pestilence or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
kind of
Yeah.
the theory. And
Hmm.
then it became cursed or something because it killed its creator's hand and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that and also it's in the same style that the New Schwabenlanders or Antarctic and or Martian Germans use as their style. The horse, what I'm talking about is they celebrate the Hundred Years' War as well, whereas their ancestors they claim fought off an alien race in ancient Germany, and I came to find out that was a false flag to build up the German people to become the hedge betting army that the aliens used to enhance their trek basically towards the new world order on Earth. Try to basically go towards what the Galactic Federation wants is one government, one people, and that's what the Nazis want. But they want all white people, and that's not the way you want to go. You want an
Yeah.
organic, unified peace, not a manicured one like what the New World Order wants to do, like the murals depict. That's what I feel they are going for, and that's why the airport is in the swastika. They're basically telling you who is doing it. It's truth in advertising. Uh, and also the Masons officially built it, I believe, but then also the gold and silver. That's generally what they're after for the most part. Is that the mining history? They're after gold and silver because they trade that to galactics. So, yeah, and it's one of the most valuable commodities out there. So that's why they are. It's used in equipment and it's used in basically everything, monetary and computers. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the most valuable things. That's why they're always trying to tell you to save gold and silver. But the official that reset timeline is bullshit because if everything went down, none of your gold and silver or anything would be worth anything because all the finances would be gone. So that's a scam that these same people are putting on. Yeah, that's what I got at the moment.
That's crazy. What a
Mm-hmm.
weird world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And how all's minorly different, but all the same.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Microcosms of the macrocosms.
Exactly. Yeah. And their timeline, though, I will say, is not going to come to pass. That's why the Georgia Guidestones were blown up because there
I
was
really
another
wanted
fact.
to see him. Damn it.
Yeah, I got to see him. Me and Joanna got to see them back in, I believe it was 2017. We got to see him, and it's actually pretty interesting. Creepy story though. When we went there to just go look at him, and there was this guy in this car following us around the entire way up there. We parked there. There's this guy watching us the entire time, and we're just looking at this guy, just staring at us. He didn't even blink. It was like extremely creepy. The way they
Hmm.
were destroyed, though, is because it was a directed energy weapon. It was you saw the lights build just before it blew up. That was a directed energy weapon. It's electromagnetic in nature. The way that faction that destroyed those tested their weapon out was on the George Floyd mural. That's why you saw the George Floyd thing explode. On there, it was and the lights built. It was they were testing the weapon out and they thought they'd be funny about it. So I always found that hilarious. It was a directed energy weapon or a do weapon that did it. It's electromagnetic, like lightning, pretty much. So directed lightning, pretty much, or microwaves in some cases too. But yeah, that's I know I sidetracked, but that's the two. Both the Georgia Guidestone timeline and the Denver Airport mural timeline are co-synchronous. So
Huh.
yeah,
No, yeah, well, I was just gonna say it all kind of interlines and intertwines anyhow.
because they
What?
have to tell you what they're going
Watch
to do.
that. What's in the bunkers underneath DIA is fucking weapons like that. Do weapons.
Exactly, like it's miles down. It goes like in sub levels, like you see in Stargate SG-1. Like on Cheyenne Mountain, they have the Stargate command be like levels under, like sub levels underneath that. That's how Cheyenne Mountain. That's how all these other bases, like Denver Airport, all of them, they're all interconnected. I can guarantee you, there's a rail system to go straight to underneath Cheyenne Mountain too. So,
I wouldn't doubt it.
yeah, and they're all interconnected. Even the Nebraska bases, the ones that are under Lincoln and Omaha. My grandfather worked at Lincoln Base and he saw it closed, where they locked the gates, and he said, "Don't kid yourself, they're underground."
Wish we could figure out a way. I wonder if there's a way. I wonder how far underground the tracks are.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
far underground do you think the tracks are?
I'm thinking couple sub levels. It's just like let's see, from Arizona. Let's see if I can get this from Dulce, for instance, when they were digging that out and they fought the aliens, like what we talked about in the previous episode. That sub level that they were driving into, that's where that would start. I would say it goes down at least, not necessarily a mile underneath. That's too far. I would say. Mm, but like a sub level or two underneath, like if you had a couple basements deep in a house, I'm thinking that's where the whole area starts, like the rail system and then the train system underneath. It would have to be lined though with some kind of soundproofing. Like Area 51 went to a like when you go
That
in
was the
there, it
next
has a
thing.
basement.
I was gonna say, I wonder if there was a way to hear it somehow.
Though there is, if you're out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, if you just stand there, like if it's like just desert, like if there's no wind, nothing, and you
Yeah.
just stand there, you can feel the vibrations underneath, which tells you it's not that far down.
Huh.
So, you know how train stations are where there's this constant vibration and like the screech of the brakes and all this other stuff. You can
Yeah.
actually hear that, and if they're drilling new tunnels, you can feel the vibration from that too. I knew somebody in Saunders, Arizona, that felt that very thing. So it's I know I schismed away from that, but with the Denver airport, there were rumors that people were hearing some weird sounds coming under there from under there when they were constructing the airport, and it was for a much wider area underneath. They were basically creating the tunnels and everything underneath that, and they were some people reported that they were constructing far more than what was actually needed. And also, people wonder where they're getting rid of the rocks and dirt from when they dig it out.
Yeah.
And Area 51 did this. There was somebody that went into Area 51 and noticed, like, oh, this is an S4, the accompanying base. And they made the comment to one of the commanders there. They said, okay, in order to get rid of this dirt, you'd have to have some kind of acidic compound to get rid of this dirt in order to make sure that you were completely covert, not so see people wouldn't see the dirt on the outside like big ant mounds. And this commander turned to this reporter and went, "Don't talk like that," because he was a chemist. See, he knew what would have to happen in order to get rid of it. I feel they did this for the Denver airport as well. They would have had to use the same compound they used to construct Area 51.
Huh.
So, and I can guarantee you it connects over to Nevada, Nellis Air Force Base. It connects to all those places. So it's a gigantic system under. They also have a highway system. There was a friend of ours that was in the Air Force one time through Nebraska. He would pass through Nebraska, and he said there was an underground like highway that would come up on the surface, and you could see I-80 that from that highway, but you couldn't see that highway from I-80. And there were gas stations every 10 miles, and it would go underground. They made fun of this in the Simpsons episode about the stone cutters. They called them that was really the Masons. They were saying they were making fun of the Masons in that, or stonemason type of gag. But Patrick Stewart was the voice of the head of the stonecutters. But in that episode, when Homer gets inducted into the society, he can drive in underground tunnels with like music playing and velvet carpet walls and paintings and all this other stuff. They were making fun of that. They were making fun of that system, is what they were doing, and that happens to be true. That's where the Simpsons got it right. Um, but that would be an episode of Conspiracy Sector. An episode of that, but
Yeah.
that would be too big. But we'd have to refine it
Yeah,
down
I
to a
know
couple things.
it. It'd be
But
a tough topic. Yeah.
I think they added in some stuff about Denver Airport and all that other stuff in there too. But
I
yeah,
wouldn't doubt it.
but yeah, that happened. There was somebody we knew in the Air Force that went through Nebraska, and that's what he saw was that highway. He didn't take any pictures. He just described it to us.
Yeah, it's still cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Number three. Denver International Airport was built by a secret organization. There is one very weird marker that's hard to ignore, a dedication marker and capstone that's been placed over a time capsule, which supposedly includes a credit card, Colorado flag, and DIA opening day newspapers, among many other things, that is set to be opened in 2094. If I live long enough, I'll be 103. The symbols on the marker are associated with the Freemasons, a charitable organization that is often subject to their own conspiracy theories. The marker also mentions the New World Airport Commission, an organization that doesn't actually exist, or does it? Our brains are spinning. but appears to be taking credit for building the entire airport. However, the contributors listed as part of the so-called NWAC, including an architecture firm and a metal company, do exist. They just make buildings and metals. Well, probably they do. So, we kind of talked a little bit about the secret building behind it, in our ramblings on here.
Yeah, and they have to tell you what they're doing. They tell you in plain sight what they're doing. That's how the magic they have works. They have to tell you exactly what they're doing in order to so they have to get mass consent for these things. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
natural law kind of thing to do these things. So they say so that they're dumping so that their karma is absolved and stuff like that. I don't buy that part, but it's that they have to put, or they believe it at least. They advertise it. So people said one day, "Hey, you didn't tell us." Oh yeah, we did right there. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So that's how they operate. They operate it with right out in the open like that. That's why people say, "Well, how would you cover up something that's massive?" They don't. It's right out in the open. Uh, they cover up some things, but not everything, because it's impossible. It would be impossible to cover up something on that mass scale. So they tell you so that you're used to it. Like with chemtrails and chem clouds, for instance, you're used to it being around, but yet it can be deadly in some cases. So yeah, you can get used to anything. Basically, you're used to the language, New World Order, New World Commission, all those that you're used to, all of that.
NWAC.
Yeah,
It sounds like a wrestling league.
yeah, it does sound like a wrestling league, actually. But yeah,
National Wrestling and Air Conditioning.
exactly.
Uh, so, what do you do for work? Oh, I work for National Wrestling and Air Conditioning. NWAC, NWAC.
In whack. Yeah, and that's good. We should make them look retarded like this. So that's the
Yeah.
first thing I recommend to anybody. Make fun of them.
Well,
Make fun of
yeah.
them. Because fascists do not like to be made fun of.
Yep.
They hate it when their causes are made to look retarded. So that's the biggest weapon you have against them, folks. It's not necessarily a gun, unless it's need be at some point. It's basically make fun of them. So their causes look ridiculous. Uh, and that's about how that's because if they lose all credibility, then they've lost at that point. Their movement is based solely on the fact they have clout and credibility and power. You can strip their power away from them just by basically removing any validity of their movement, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So number 4, we've already alluded to this a little bit, but DIA has mysterious tunnels. And like I said, Chris, I imagine you're correct. If there is underground bunkers, that there's tunnels that lead out of there too, as far as
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned. Why wouldn't there be? The
Mm-hmm.
airport is home to a number of tunnels, including a tram that goes between concourses and a failed automated baggage system. That all sounds normal enough, but there is definitely something weird about that automated baggage system. Mainly that it cost a lot of money and then never actually worked. The system, which failed pretty spectacularly when it was first tested and just never got better, was one of the reasons for DIA's delayed opening. By '05, most of the airport's concourses had abandoned it totally, making it both its a bloated price and long delays feel like even more of a failure, or at least a really weird way to cover up the building of tunnels. So, there's most definitely tunnels going in and out of there, especially if it is a doomsday bunker and things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. Because how would you quickly and discreetly, transfer stuff in and out and away and fro?
Yeah, it's underground. That is the quickest way to move things to and fro is underground. And yeah, if you can hear it, you can't always hear it because of the traffic noise and such. But if you were in a real quiet place, yeah, that you can hear what they're doing underground because they have a lot of vehicles and a lot of drills and a lot of equipment down there. And it's a big wide open space. Of course, it's going to echo. So even though I heard they have echo dampeners down there to prevent some of that, you cannot cover up every single thing. So they created controversy behind the tunnels. They created controversy, this or that, and conspiracy surrounding all this. So yeah, they told you it's there essentially through all the conspiracy theory, but at the same time, they don't tell you what is in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they've told people already through all of these stories that are out there, but they still won't let anybody down there. I saw a report where some reporters tried to go down there, and one of the funniest stories came out of Denver Airport, where a guy walks up to an elevator. All of a sudden, a weird panel shows up on the elevator with a third button that's red. That he just happens to push it, and it's like it wasn't even part of the panel. It was just this button that showed up, and on the elevator, he gets on. He presses this red button. He gets on, and he goes, and it takes him all the way down into these tunnels. He goes down into, or actually, this little hallway. He goes down and he finds out he was just originally searching for a bathroom, and he finds a bathroom, but then all the toilets, the urinals are up on the ceiling, and so which meant that somebody down in those bases showed him that somebody led him down there, basically saying, "Look at this," and it freaked him out. It's because some of these toilets were in different spots because some aliens that were there required different geometry or different layout, or volume. So yeah, which I found interesting. That's one of the funny stories. He was so freaked out, he got on the elevator and went back upstairs. I was like, how you get freaked out by toilets being in the wrong spot? That was straight out of the Denver airport. So a lot of creepy stories like that come out. It'd be interesting to do a ghost box session sometime in one of the terminals.
Well, one that I was wondering, I was trying to look for some reports. I wonder if, I obviously Bigfoot's been seen in Colorado quite a bit, but
Mhm.
I know that Chicago O'Hare Airport has been having Mothman sightings. And I wonder if
Mhm.
there's been anything that has happened along that line at Denver Airport. But
Oh, I've heard of things like that. The Mothman sightings, though, in the Chicago and O'Hare Airport area, they've been mistaken for Mothman, but they're bat-like creatures.
yeah,
And one was sighted on Sears Tower. I found out these were bat-like creatures.
kind of
Sometimes
winged humanoid.
it's a winged humanoid, and it's not a bug. It's a bat. And some people tried to call him Batman, stuff like that. But it was sighted on the Sears Tower. These are things that come out of those bases, like some of those weird hybrid creatures and crap like that. They find
Yeah.
escape from those, and that I believe happens from some of the Denver Airport, Cheyenne Mountain area too, where some weird creatures have been sighted around those spots where some things have escaped from experimental labs and shit like that. So yeah, I've heard of some of those cases as well. That yeah, O'Hare is I believe O'Hare is connected to this base network as well. Or they like to call them the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases.
Yeah.
But yeah, O'Hare is definitely connected to that, and I could see how something would escape. And we were talking with at the conference. This is slightly off subject, but this has to do with the rail system as well. Where we were talking with Miles Johnston at the conference, and we were discussing how some trains going through this train station in England, um, sometimes they're a couple minutes late and they don't know where the train just came from. They take them out, military take them out of time sync, and they either collect DNA, run an experiment, or do what have you. They time sync them back into our reality, and it's only a couple minutes have passed. And this is how some of these rail systems are, where they're out of time sync. So or out of dimensional sync, it's like 1/4 second out of time sync or something like that. And and some of these rail systems, another way that they avoid people seeing what they're doing is they're right out in the open. In California, I was on a train going to San Francisco once. This was in 2016,
Yeah.
and I saw this ghost train pass us right on a separate rail to the left of me. I was looking out the window, and it was like maybe 80% visible, but it was transparent. It's like that one in Ghostbusters where Winston gets run over by the ghost
Oh
train, and yeah,
yeah.
it's like that.
Uh,
And yeah, in Ghostbusters 2, I believe, yeah, it was like that. But you could see all these screaming people on it and everything. And what I came to find out, it was using that same physics to where somebody made it so I could see it, just like the guy with the elevator seeing the toilets and everything. It's the same thing. Somebody made it so I saw it. was one of the creepiest experiences I've had in that area. But people were trying to get us to see them, and they were hauling people to be experimented on, and those people probably became missing people, but they're hauled through the bases. This time sync technology has been disclosed on cartoons, on Star Trek, all these other things. The cartoon that's the most famous for it, though, is Batman the Animated Series. When I talk about Batman, where Dr. Time uses this technology to go a quarter out of time, quarter second out of time sync. And you see this scene where he's knocking on a door where Batman and the Commissioner are on the other side of it, and he just knocks, and then Batman hears this really like rapid noise. He doesn't actually hear the normal knocking, and he figures out the technology, and that's how he's able to apprehend Dr. Time. But it's the same technology. They're disclosing what they can do. This is how military and them are able to walk through walls, and Men in Black are able to walk through walls, do all that other stuff. It's because they have this creepy advanced technology like that they got from Alien. So it's or a hybrid technology they got from aliens. It's not like they're gluing the two techs together. It's just that it's our understanding of how much the alien technology functions. It's our comprehension of it. People always mistake, they always say hybrid, like it's like you have a hybrid child or a hybrid set of genetics or something. No, that's true of the alien DNA, but the tech, it's basically our understanding of how the alien tech works and how we can apply it to our tech. And that's essentially where we're at, our comprehension level of it. If it's too far advanced, we wouldn't comprehend it. It's just like in Star Trek Enterprise, you see one of the Suliban agents, reptilian guys in that, going up to this benefactor. He goes, I don't know how to run this technology. It came from too far ahead in the future. It came from like 900 years ahead in the future. So it's essentially like that. I know I got off target, but that's the logistics of how some of the tech they use, and they have regular rail systems. Now, I feel in the future, when we've claimed all these spaces, or humanity's claimed all these spaces, I feel we'll have we'll use that like we do any other rail system. We'll have it all opened to us at some point.
Yeah.
This is what I
once there's flying spacecrafts for the elite, then the deep underground railroads would be public transportation for the general population.
Yeah, I feel what they'll do is they'll advance their position, stay in the background. What they do is they change their stripes, like a tiger changing its stripes. They tried it with the Cabal to QAnon type of dynamic, but it didn't work. So they're trying a different angle. And you're dealing with multiple factions, like political factions, stuff like political families and stuff. But with this is that they'll fade into the background like a distant memory, kind of like Section 31 in Star Trek. There's a group that operates in the background. Then they'll let humanity claim all of those spaces. And if their plans don't work, like say the culling ship that I said they wanted to do before, it's obviously not working. They tried it with the pandemic, they tried it with the vaccine, they tried it with all this other stuff, and people didn't fall for it. So for the most part, and it didn't happen. So they tried the Civil War plan, didn't work. So what happens is plan B is, okay, we'll fade in the background. We'll make them think we lost, and then we just let them have all these other spaces we don't need. We'll let them claim Denver Airport, all this other stuff. This is how the Germans back in their history, like I said, during the 100 Years' War, they had an alien false flag event in their history, whereas the aliens made them think they won a war, and they became this big egocentric force later on in history. And there you have, the Nazis. So eventually, or in World War I, it was like the Kaiser. But with this, it's the same technique. You make the people think you've lost, like Hitler, for instance. The Nazis didn't lose the Second World War. They just transformed. They transformed the New Schwabenländer of Antarctica, Argentina, and eventually the Moon, Mars, and Ceres colonies in the solar system. So and also Operation Paperclip is when the scientists came over. Operation High Jump is when Admiral Byrd went down to try to check out Antarctica and got his ass handed to him. So the reason I bring that history up is because you got to remember your history, so you know if these people are changing their stripes again or trying to hide in plain sight. If you start to gain too many resources too easily, this tells me that, like, if the people gain those underground bases too easily, this tells me they've retreated away from them and they're hiding somewhere else, or they've retreated away from here, or they've broken away to another world or something like that. And this tells me that it's being allowed. If people like documents leaking, stuff like that, it's part of a planned leak. Like you always hear about those documents that are leaked. Like, oh, these documents were leaked about Majestic and all these other things. Or Edward Snowden risks a $100,000 a year job to make people aware of documents. It's like, no, they let you take them, even if you don't realize that they let you do it. As part of a planned, disclosure narrative. So, yeah, and some of the alien stuff are some of the stuff Edward Snowden has too. So, and about these bases and about monitoring and stuff like that too. And I always say that by the time they are telling you about something, like, oh, we're going to do this, like, we're going to build a base on the moon, oh, we're going to build a base on Mars, oh, we're going to do this, they've already done it. And so like when Snowden basically said, oh, we found out they're monitoring you. No shit. We knew this for a long time.
Yep.
That's the pattern. It's like time delayed fuse, essentially. So I know that deviated away from the Denver airport material, but at the same time, that basically shows the pattern that these people operate
in. It all comes back around.
Mm-hmm.
So
they can't circle the they can't have people circling the toilet forever. That's a key thing to remember.
We got a couple more that are the main conspiracies behind it. Then we can probably go into some questions if you want. But number 5 is DIA is the headquarters for an underground government. But where do the tunnels go? Perhaps to some kind of underground bunker? Most of the people who believe in the various conspiracy theories regarding DIA seem to think that the airport is actually the headquarters for something far nastier than just an airport. Like the New World Order or our own American government, this idea might sound pretty wild, but there is something very strange to back it up: buried buildings. As the story goes, when DIA was first being built, 5 massive buildings were built somehow incorrectly. Instead of being blown up or otherwise dismantled, they were buried. Although tourists say that a construction worker ultimately blew the whistle on this very weird practice, finding his original testimony on the subject is almost impossible. So yeah, we had talked about some of these underground bunkers. And number 6 is DIA's giant horse statue is cursed, and they call it Blucifer, but it's hard to deny the weirdness of DIA's unofficial mascot, the massive horse statue called Mustang, and dubbed Blucifer, has already killed at least one man. At 32 feet tall, 9,000 pounds, it's made out of fiberglass. Mustang is huge and imposing, and its glowing red eyes don't help matters. This thing is giant and really scary, and it killed a man who made it. It's its own creator. Really. Wait, should I do this the appropriate way, Chris? Is it artist or artiste?
Artiste, I think that would work.
Artiste Luis Jimenez died in 2006 when a piece of the sculpture's head broke off and severed an artery in his leg. Jesus. His children finished the horse. Some believe the horse is cursed, and that his glowing eyes represent the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They're actually a nod to Jimenez's father, who had a shop that sold neon lights. Supposedly, that's a counter, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as you can see, hopefully we've given you all a pretty good wrap-up of what's going on at the Denver airport. If you haven't heard about any of this before, now you can have a little in-depth, bigger understanding, hopefully now.
Yeah, and also talk about series of unfortunate events. The guy's killed by his own creation, type of thing. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They sometimes will like to cover things up. Like he could have probably seen something about the site too. They like to cover things up with like curses, even though curses do exist. They like to cover things up with ghost activity and curses. One of the most famous cases. I've repeated this before, but this case where this guy wakes up to an orange orb over him, and then he's paralyzed, obviously alien, and then he goes downstairs the next morning and asks the bartender that's in this hotel that he's in. It's a famous historical hotel, and he asked the bartender. He goes, "Oh, that's the suicide room where a girl committed suicide," and that's true. That was part of the history, but the thing of it is that bartender was more than likely the alien that was trying to abduct the guy, and the guy caught him. So I say this because It's the same thing with also James Dean's cursed car routine
Oh
as
yeah.
well, where he was actually more of a white knight in Hollywood. He must have seen some of the crap going on in Hollywood, and who was it also that got on the news and told him about? Oh, I told him not to get in that car, he'd die, and that was Alex Guinness, the one that played Obi-Wan Kenobi originally. Uh, and he got on the news and started doing the whole cursed car routine. No, he was executed. So, uh, and it very well could have been Alex Guinness, could have been the one that did it. So we had a bunch of synchronicities surrounding that too when we brought James Dean in for a channel one time. But the reason I diverted a little is the horse I feel is the same thing. They're trying to create a curse lore surrounding it. You're dealing with people that are masters of illusion, masters of storytelling, and also on if you follow Insider Tony Rodriguez, he talks about
Yeah.
how on Ceres, out in the solar system, out in the docking port out back, there are these two horse statues that look exactly like the Denver airport one.
Huh.
Uh, and because it's the 100 Years War style. That's what these German guys that they're out there, the Martian Nazis or the Series Nazis are, or Series Germans. Actually, the style they want is the 100 Years War, celebrating again their victory, quote unquote, over an alien race in the medieval period. So, 100 Years War was just essentially during the Middle Ages. So, but yeah, in like 1500s. So, and 1400s and just before the Renaissance. So, but yeah, through England, France, and Spain is when that took place over that 100-year period. But right after, it started a little bit after the Wallace Revolution in Scotland, I believe, and went for 100 years. So, but you guys can correct me on that if you think I got that wrong. But that's where the horse style comes from. That's why the base is in the swastika form. This is this guy's style. These guys' style. So is the horse like that? So and also you see that in movies too, where you have the horse, in bucking up like TriStar pictures. You see the horse. It's the same thing. The white horse, and it's also biblical. Behold the pale horse or the white horse prophecy,
Yeah.
like with Joseph Smith and the White Horse Prophecy. The whole bit, it's all tied into this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Reminds me of
but
that book by what's his name? Behold, a Pale Horse. By that's a good book by what is his name?
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Behold the Pale Horse. Yeah, they just showed that on commercial the other day too. I can't remember his name. So sorry, everybody. We're kind of out of it today. We got caught with some kind of virus. So yeah,
Phil Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
He's an
so
interesting guy.
mm,
And we could do an episode on him sometime. But would you like to
yeah.
go into questioning?
Hmm?
Would you like to go into questioning?
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know Isaac was going to do this one as normal. This would be his territory. If people are curious, Isaac in his physical form is in and around Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. So, and his brother is in Edwards outside of Barstow. His brother's Thorson. So, they do have physical forms, and they're right here walking amongst us. So, okay. Yeah, he doesn't care if I say it. That's the thing. They don't really care if I talk about it. So, uh, not anybody, nobody can do anything about it. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay, Isaac. Okay. Oh, okay. You're in a hurry. Okay. Hang on. I got this annoying call. Huh? Yeah. Through the crystal. Yes, he is absolutely correct. That is where I am located. But that aside, everything that was said here was absolutely true. He seems to have the ability to see patterns where others don't, with especially when it has to do with the New Schwabenlander population, uh, and that's who funded this airport. Just like you would see on the backside of the moon, you'd see a giant swastika because of the base that was there. That denotes the first people that were actually on the moon that were human, and you'd see that on Mars too. The first people that were on Mars that were human. People will be horrified when they go out into the system and see swastikas in places. This is being preserved, so people see this. Now, he was absolutely correct. If you were actually all of a sudden thrust into a situation where you had a lot more resources, that means that it was slowly given to you, hoping that you would not see the crimes of the previous generation. Just like with your Space Force, for instance, the reason that they are making it in the Star Trek exploration of humanity in space and time type of where no man has gone before type of premise, or no one's gone before type of premise, is because it's the secret space program light. They are trying to denounce all of their previous crimes and atrocities in this area. But he is right, where you do have it out in the open, where they have to say what they're doing. Always look for these symbols. They put them even in nonchalant ways, like say your gas stations where they have the different ancient symbols. This tells them where to go or where not to go, like McDonald's with your golden arches, for instance. That tells them to avoid that. That's actually an ancient symbol, ancient zodiac symbol they are using. And so, and various other symbols from both ancient Egypt, Greece, and various other cultures, Viking as well. So, I will just go into questions since you're probably wanting to get to that.
Yeah, so interesting topics. We've kind of talked about, these underground bunkers and tunnels before, but what do you believe? We kind of got into it, or I think that they could be public transportation at one point, but where do you think that they fall in this technological like battle of, what the general population gets versus what the dark budget groups get?
Oh yes, they on the scale, the budget they get is quite massive, in the billions, as you said. They will. You always have to follow the money trail if you're looking for them. Yes, do they have the ability to do things without money? Yeah, but at the same time, you have to remember they're also coinciding with the ICC, which is the Intergalactic Corporate Conglomerate or Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. These people like to empower or themselves through uh, monetary means. So yes, money, you follow the money trail. These underground bases and these underground tunnels always have the most funding. So if you see, say, or the secret space program for their ships for Solar Warden, even a single bolt for a spaceship is up in the hundreds of thousands. If you see a ledger somewhere, in essentially when someone hacked into the records and found things about the secret space program, in this, if you see like a bolt costing $100,000 somewhere, this usually means it's for a spaceship or it's for a base. Or if they're requisitioning some equipment from some factory somewhere and it's like a huge, massive, ungodly amount of an order. This usually denotes it's going from one or two places: secret space program or underground military base, like the Denver airport. This usually denotes they have to have other factories manufacture some of these products, from nuts, bolts, screws, chairs. If they basically say specific dimension for like a console, let's say, like on a spaceship, that factory is not going to know what it's for. So they would just measure it out and have that company make it. There's even a story where they even ripped off a company that was like that, where someone said, "Are you going to be square with them?" And they started laughing. And so yeah, this is that the type of scenario. Now the Denver airport specifically, the amount of funding that went into that actually far exceeded what was part of public record. They gave you the light version of that monetary disclosure. There are other monetary resources that came in from other areas and other parts of the planet. Now, bear in mind, what do they have in abundance? Like, say, on your Wall Street, for instance, like in your Die Hard 3 movie where the Germans wanted to steal all the gold. That was actually disclosure of what they're actually obtaining planet wide. Your military bases are finding all the gold treasure planet wide and using it to not only trade to their alien buddies, but to also fund construction of these different bases. The Denver airport alone drained and depleted a great deal of gold monetary and silver monetary value. Hence, why they are displaying the gold and silver carts that are on the floor. Even though it's a mining town, they cleared out a very huge mine there in Colorado, part of Arizona, and a part of into Wyoming a little bit for actually the gold funding. Now you also have your lost gold of World War II in the Philippines that they also confiscated as well. Once that show found the gold that was there, they actually went there. The Philippines basically confiscated it, and the shadow government basically went there and confiscated the gold, and they just delivered it to them as more of like an homage. So essentially, like the gods of old being paid a gold homage by natives, like you have your Aztec and Mayan and Incan cultures worshiping gold, especially the Inca. And they would throw gold into the water to basically honor Viracocha and them. These are the Anunnaki that required gold, you see, in that day. And this programming still exists to this day. So gold is the main source of funding, and silver as well, for these different projects. So the monetary value that you saw on the surface was merely the tip of the iceberg as far as that went. Now, some of that gold went into the computing units and all this other such that was down there as well. If you went down there today, if you went down to the lowest sublevel, you would not only see the rail system, you would see a portal system that's in place for when they use the out of time sync, like what he said. Alaska has a bigger one, like in your Men in Black movie, where it's a terminal for a bunch of aliens. That's true, but then the majority of it would look just like a regular military base. Would look like the long drab hallways, with 80s style 80s style architecture look. That's how the moon base is as well, where there's areas that were built back in those days by both the New Schwabenlander and American forces, and some Chinese as well. But in this, you would see just like bits and pieces glued together, essentially from different time frames. Where, like, if you have a resort where they're upgrading some rooms from like an 80s standard to now, that's kind of what that looks like at the moment. The rail system would carry you all the way through a big dark tunnel all the way to the other end of the bases. There's doors every like maybe every mile or so. And also, sometimes he even saw this in his game script he wrote years ago, where there was this weird car that would go along a rail system. Think of, like, say, the movie Time Cop, for instance, where they had that little car that would shoot through the portal. It's like that, where they have a little vehicle that, not necessarily time travel per se, but a little vehicle that shoots along a rail system as well, kind of like a shuttlecraft. And also, it looks like a mix between a shuttlecraft and a car. It's like this. And they also have these little capsule-like things that shoot. They'll shoot them like a subway. It's like a magnetic rail system as well, where it's inside of the walls, like in your Kingsman movie, where they had the rail, or they had the capsule rail system in the Kingsman movie, the Kingsman: The Secret Service. That's essentially what it looks like.
Very interesting. So, one more question. What do you think are some of the items that they're storing down there, and what do you think their implications could have for the world, quite frankly?
Well, the items that they're storing down there varies from week to week, but they run experiments down there. They have corporate projects that go on and on. The military actually guard a lot of these corporate projects, like on military bases. That's why you see the soldiers to begin with. It's not that that's their home base, for instance. It is essentially they're guarding different corporate projects. What is mainly down there, what is being stored down there, if you went into the storage rooms, think of a vault that, like in any sci-fi movie you've ever heard of, where they open a vault and show you all the secrets of the different black projects. Say if you, like, also in Friday the 13th, the series, for instance, where they open this vault, they have all these cursed toys and crap like that in there. Like cursed doll and of all these other, like, cursed notebook and all these other things they lock in a vault. It's like this. Not to be over dramatic, they even show a show called The Lazarus Project, where they have something similar, where it's a clandestine group that basically saves the world through time travel. It's propaganda, mind you. And also Pine Gap is another place they do this. They have a show about it as well. The objects that are stored, the most common thing in that vault, aside from any of the over dramatic prose that you could put behind it, would actually be essentially things that they have confiscated from people. Think of a principal's office that have confiscated things from people, like if somebody had something crash on their property, like a probe or something, and they confiscate it. They would put that in that vault for further study, or like in your Shazam movie where they had those demon statues with the orbs and stuff in their hands and everything. This is kind of what it reminds me of, or would remind me of, where you walk into this big vault, the very lengthy, like the Vatican Library lengthy, and they would have these different things in different sections with labels on them that were categorized from what they found in different parts of the globe, different parts of the country. Or like if a UFO, like power core got confiscated, or a sphere or something like that, you would see a vault down there that you go into, like you'd see in any sci-fi movie, where they had them cataloged, and that's essentially some of the main objects that are down there. Things that they've confiscated. You would expect Area 51 to be that. That used to be the place that they stored all those objects. They moved them further over because Area 51 was getting too inconspicuous, or not inconspicuous anymore, and it was getting too much focus. Now the Denver airport is, but they really don't care at this point if people know what they know. They just can't prove it. So they were more paranoid back in the day. You see, that's why they killed people more back in the day. They were slightly more paranoid back in Art Bell's day, when this individual got on during the October snowstorm there in Lincoln, Nebraska, as a matter of fact, where him and his mother were listening to the show where somebody was running from an underground military base and saying, "I have very little time. I now have to report this," type of thing. And he got killed on air, and Art Bell's show went down. That actually was a real thing that took place, and this can be found on YouTube as well. This is they were slightly more direct in their mob tactics, and now they're more nonchalant. But the back on topic, in that vault, it's a lot of things that they confiscated from people. These vaults are all over the place, like you see in your Fallout game series, where they have different vaults all over the place, and they did run experiments. Now, he would cite the Nazi experiment that took place during World War II, whereas this civilization, one of these, this base, this compound that was out in the middle of nowhere in the Russian mountains, whereas the Nazis convinced these people that everybody on Earth had died, and that they were humanity's last. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to call everybody through the Georgia Guidestone timeline or the Denver Airport timeline, which gets delayed, by the way, because it's not going to happen. These people came out, another generation of people came out later on, and some Russian hikers found them, and they were shocked and surprised when everybody was still alive. This is the type of thing that they were preparing these vaults for, like in your Fallout game series. Very similar, where they would just have people repopulate the Earth that were more Aryan race. This is essentially what they wanted to do. That timeline will never come to pass, mind you. But these are what these advertisements are for that they have out in the open. This is why they have these spaces. But again, humanity will eventually inherit them.
Very good. It was a very good session today. Thank you.
No further questions?
Nope, you covered it all very well.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Always enjoy these sessions.
Oh, yeah. Good information.
Yeah. I could see as he was talking about all the things that are shelved, like the Vatican Library, where it's miles of like stuff. It's very similar. I believe the Vatican Library is the largest, but they have other archives in places. The main one, they're like Caesar burning down the Library of Alexandria and then taking all the information back to Rome. That's where it eventually ended up. So it's that kind of thing. They send it usually to the Vatican, but for the most part, because it's an archive. But then you have these other ones, like the size of the Denver airport place that's underneath. It's massive. So it's one of the biggest ones. It's that and the Alaska one are huge. So the one is in Lincoln and under Omaha, under Offutt and under Lincoln Air Force Base is nothing to laugh at either, but it's huge. But it's all interconnected. They could literally travel from one end of the country to the other and never be seen. So at all. So that's how vast this network is. So if people go, well, I think there's an opening to a base here. You probably have, this is going to sound stupid, but in Walmarts and in Home Depots and in stores like that, Lowe's, all those places, well, and places like that, Menards, these are staging areas for military if something would happen. They're designed to become a staging area. Now, in the back room, and I saw this when I worked at a Walmart for a couple of years, there was a door that had no knob on it. and it was just flat closed. This is basically, these are openings into these underground bases, into these underground areas. Sometimes there's sheds out front that go into them. There's sometimes strip malls that have openings. Hotels have openings too via the bathroom. Public bathrooms also have like where you shift a wall to the side or something, and there is a place that some of these operatives can come and go. They sometimes will abduct people, put an implant in their brain to turn them into a surveillance drone too. But Gene Roddenberry called that the cyberviral implant, but in Earth Final Conflict. But in this scenario, in these scenarios where, like this door I saw that had no knob, either somebody from this side would have to have a magnetic like knob, like key to unlock it, or use a remote or something, or somebody would be coming up from down below. So if you're working in one of these places and you see a door that has no knob on the outside of it, that means you were not meant to go in there. That's going down into one of these places. In hotels, like outside of Barstow, there was this. I have a memory of the SSP where I saw these people coming through the bathroom in this old hotel. I even passed that hotel in Barstow. It went down into Edwards, right there. It's right there in the desert, outside of Barstow, California. So yeah, where these soldiers came in and out of this one room. Now I found that hotel when we passed through there. It's derelict now. It's a wreck now, but that means they're not using it anymore, or they are using it as a watch post. And they want people to think that it's like old and rotten. They'll do that in neighborhoods too. Aliens will do this too, where they have these watch posts in neighborhoods that are, think of some creepy house on the corner you think is weird or something. But they want like a mythos to surround it so that they can operate as a watcher in a neighborhood. They'll even enlist fake couples sometimes to watch these outposts, like you saw in the movie Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich, where the mansion where she was overseeing that area, and it was really a passage into the deep underground military base. That happens. These places are so massive, you need openings all over the place to get into them. It's not practical to have only one or two openings. So if you needed to get in there, just like in the Fallout game series, Fallout 76, you go into Vault 79 where they store gold in there. And even the government operatives, you find that they're saying, yeah, we used to confiscate this from people, all this other stuff. The way out from where the government agents are, you go outside, and you go in this elevator lift, and you go outside, and it's through a shed. It's just through a tool shed. So where it has like an eye scanner, a retinal scanner, or palm scanner or something on there. That was absolutely accurate. Or like Kingsman, the Secret Service, where you see the clothing store is a front to an opening to the Kingsman headquarters in the back. That's actually true. As you know, as comedic as that movie was, they were trying to say it through method. They like to do this. Even President Obama got onto, I believe it was a Jimmy Kimmel at one point, and basically somebody asked him about aliens, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we've interacted with aliens. Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
They're telling you the truth. It's just they're doing it through sarcasm and humor. So they have to in order to make this work. So that's what they're doing at the Denver airport. It's all out in the open. They know you won't decipher it right away, but they don't care because they told you. So that's basically how it is. So if somebody came in years from now, and say, "Wait a minute, you didn't say anything." Yeah, we did, right there. This means this. This means this. Means that. We told you. So that they're like, it's like they feel like they're under contract. Like it's more of a spiritual or religious thing with them, that they feel if they don't do it a particular way, they themselves are going to get punished somehow, like karmically. That's their belief. So they believe it, whether it's true or not, they believe it. So whether they feel like the universe is going to, I don't know if it's going to swallow them up or what have you, but that's what they believe. So, but I don't know if you have anything else, Aubrey, before we take this out.
No, I think we covered it all up pretty good. It's very good information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is extremely good information. So we're at this point. So as we close this circle, you are now exiting the conspiracy sector. So bye bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.